Have you noticed that a lot of our youth has decided to leave the country without any intention of coming back? So now the question arises, what warrants such a behavior? What exactly has gone wrong that this has become such a commonplace occurrence? So that's exactly what we're going to look into today. So the first thing is education costs. Education in this country is a joke right now, the way things are going. So people are taking loans and whatnot to make sure that their kids finish their education so that they can have a better life. But the reality is far different from that. And not to mention that even degrees are not enough. You need to have masters and whatnot. And all of those things keep getting expensive. So there was this report that was published in the New Indian Express which suggested that the education costs have gone up from 5,865 rupees in 2008 to 12,345 in 2018. And this was for the rural areas and small towns. And in the same period, education costs in cities went up from 12,000 rupees in 2008 to 28,000 rupees in 2018. So you must have noticed that I'm saying 2018 and this is 2025. So obviously things must have become much worse by now. You could expect even like a 50% hike in fees in general. And not just that, each year the cost keeps creeping up by 8 to 12%, depending on where you are. Even after going through all this pain, all this financial stress, to finally get a degree and then hope that maybe you will take up a job and maybe see some better days, that doesn't happen either. You can finish your education all you want, but at the end of the day, you need to bribe a bunch of people to get a job, and that's the harsh reality, and a lot of people can't do that. Lower middle class and poor people, they will never be able to afford the kind of bribes people give to get a job. Now, one more thing to look into is the healthcare costs in this country. So in 2023 alone, we spent about 9,04,461 crore rupees on healthcare alone. The average per capita expenditure in this case was just about 7,000. So each person in this country on average was spending close to 7,000 rupees a year. For the past 10 years, healthcare costs have been creeping up each year by 12 to 15%. And in 2025 alone, the healthcare costs went up by 13% compared to the previous year. In just 1 year, it went up by 13%. Now with this cost of living, how is it possible for our youth to thrive? No wonder they're trying to run away from this place. Cost for bypass surgery has gone up from say 2 to 3 lakhs in 2014 to now it's about 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs in some cases. Cancer treatment has gone up from like 5 to 10 lakhs 10 years ago to now it's more than 25 lakhs. It's unbelievable the kind of things that are going on. Now the cost for critical medication like insulin for diabetes and hypertensive drugs for people with hypertension and heart problems have gone up by 8 to 12%, and that is insane. Even cost for chemotherapy and stuff like that has gone up by 10%. With such increasing costs, how can one expect the youth of this country to be invested in this place? They're busy surviving, and of course they behave the way they do because honestly speaking, the future is very bleak. Now let's talk about housing. A house is one such possession that every single person dreams of. Now it's a place to retire to after a hectic day, a place that you can call your own. So it has a lot of value, and not just monetary value, but emotional value as well. Now, the Center for Social and Economic Progress has recently given out a report that says that, you see, there's something called as the cost of housing to the median annual income. And this ratio basically gives you an idea of how affordable a certain region is, a certain city or a town is. So according to CSEP, the Center for Social and Economic Progress, this ratio is at an all-time high at 15:1. And places like Mumbai are just as expensive as New York when it comes to housing. Hence governments have come up with this unofficial rule called the 30% rule. So it's not written anywhere, but it basically means that if you spend more than 30% of what you make on housing, it means that you're financially stressed. And in places like New York and Mumbai, it's not 30%, it's actually 40% in Mumbai and 44% in New York. So here are some more cities with their average income and their corresponding expenditure on housing. Now in housing costs, a lot of things are included, like rent or repaying of loans, housing loans, or property taxes, things like that. Everything that you would consider. Like in some places, the society charges you for maintenance and crap. Even that is included. And not just this, each year the housing costs keep increasing by 10%. It's not just that it's expensive now, but the thought that it's going to be much worse in the coming years is exactly what's bothering our youth. So the previous generations, like people in the 80s and even in the 90s, could just settle down by 25, buy a house, get married, have a couple of kids and crap like that. But it's getting increasingly difficult for this generation, and if anything, we should, instead of mocking them, I think we should try and see how we can help them, because your kids are also going to see the same things. So how exactly can anybody hold on to things, be hopeful for the future in bleak situations like these? In a country where corruption and nepotism are so rampant that it has become part of our reality. It is something that we have taken for granted. It is the way it is, right? And I think nobody wants to change that either, because if we remove corruption from this place, half of the people are going to starve, I think. I don't know. Corruption has become a part of our DNA pretty much. And what do I say about nepotism? I mean, you need connections, you need contacts to get into anything. Without that, you cannot expect to get anything done. And that's the sad truth. Meritocracy is a joke. It's all about having the right connections and having enough money to bribe the right people. In India, talent is like that seed that is trying to grow through concrete. Sometimes it happens, you see it, it's a miracle. But a lot of the times, the concrete crushes that seed with all of its potential. And now let's talk about the quality of life. Even basic things feel like a stretch here, like safety, cleanliness, clean water, clean air. Even these feel like distant dreams now. The public infrastructure in this place is a joke. You can see what happens to our roads after a couple of years. Trains keep getting derailed from their tracks. These days we even see planes crashing into the ground. And don't get me started on the daily nuisances. The noise that just never stops. You can probably hear some of it in the background. And then there's pollution. Then there's rude, weird people who just have complete disdain for another person. They break lines. They take bribes. And they just don't care. They just don't care what the rest of the world thinks of them. They have already created this parallel universe, this alternate reality where they have built the perfect country and they live in the best country in the world. And this is exactly why I feel that every single person should visit abroad, should go to other countries and see how other people live. That actually gives you a good yardstick to measure your own progress, to measure how far you've come. Have you seen our traffic? I'm pretty sure you have if you live in a city. And what do you think has been done about that? Have we fixed it? Tell me one city that has fixed it. I don't think we can fix it because we don't have the capability to fix it. Way too many people. And not just way too many people population-wise, even the people running things are just incompetent. Incompetent at best and corrupt at worst. Either ways, we're screwed. And then there's the mental health problems. With all this stress, obviously people are going to break. People are going to have nervous breakdowns. And in a country where psychological or mental illnesses are considered a weakness, you can imagine how worse things must be for us compared to the rest of the world. There's an American dream, right? There's an Indian dream too. You know what that is? That is to escape to another country and live a better life. Yeah, that's the definition of the Indian dream. Don't even get me started on women's safety, because I'm not one of those creepy weirdos who are going to defend rapes. Every couple of days we hear a news story. So you can imagine how women must feel. So maybe our youth isn't leaving India, it's just leaving the burdens, the failures of our system behind. Maybe that's what it is. I don't agree with it. I feel that our youth should try and change the situation, try and change the system, because if not you, then who? Now, as much as I feel sympathy for you, I think we should also look into the possibility that maybe we can change this. But for that, our youth is quintessential. We need our youth for that. We need our youth for the change, because the millennials are completely fucked up. The boomers have lost their shit. I don't think there's any hope. If the youth gives up, it's over for us. It's the end. Until our current system values people over profits and money, this exodus will continue.